There's a lot of discussions about the sustainable society and what it really means. In fact, there is a scientific definition of sustainability. Here's the story. Let's start with the sun. This is a necessary condition. Energy from the sun makes life and society possible. There is plenty of sun energy, but we don't really utilize it. The sun provides more than 10,000 times the energy we actually consume in society, but instead we use fossil fuels to meet most of today's need for energy. We'll get back to why this causes many of the environmental problems we face today. The green arrows show the cycle of nature driven by the sun. The plants capture the energy, building the green such as forests, fields and algae. The plants are eaten by animals and the residuals are recycled as nutrition for the plants. This cycle of life is ongoing in a very thin sort of skin of the earth, including life, water, air and soil. We call it nature. The energy flowing from the sun makes it possible to build resources continuously. Wood, cotton, seed and energy such as wind and hydropower are therefore called renewable resources. We depend on the renewable resources. We also need clean air, fresh water, soil for food production and the biodiversity in the ecosystems. We are, simply put, dependent on the cycle of life and living ecosystems to provide us with, room to live. The opposite of renewable is finite. Finite resources are found in the Earth's crust, such as copper and bauxite. We can extract the materials, but they will not be renewed. Fossil materials, such as coal, oil and natural gas, are likewise found in the Earth's crust. None of these are renewed, at least not in a human time perspective. Nature and the Earth's crust are of course linked. Metals and minerals from the ground comes naturally into the cycle of life through volcanoes and weathering. In the other direction, dead plants and creatures form sediment and fossils and then become part of the Earth's crust. However, the exchange between nature and the crust is small and very slow compared to the cycle of life that goes on continuously around us. The societies that humans have built utilize a lot of resources and material. This has an impact on life and nature on Earth, and on us humans since we're part of nature. We identify these impacts and we call them environmental problems. We need to understand what causes the problems in order to describe a sustainable society and understand why today's society is not. The society has its own cycle of materials and resources. Recycled materials are turned into new resources in this loop. Society is, however, absolutely depending on the surrounding nature to function. In practice, matter can neither disappear nor appear from nowhere. We need to trust nature to provide society with the matter we need. We harness resources from the cycle of life, such as trees for wood and paper, plants for food and fuel. Water is also a crucial resource that we not only use to drink, but also for cleaning, food production, and in industry. We extract a lot of material from the Earth's crust in terms of metals and minerals. The most common energy source is also extracted. 80% of the energy demands are covered by fossil fuels. Things and stuff end up in nature eventually, either as visible waste or invisible. It is a law of nature that everything disperses, as is the fact that nothing disappears. Cleaning agents and medicals are spread through wastewater, and chemicals leak from textiles and computers. The metals in copper water pipes and catalysts are slowly dispersed, but we can slow down the pace of dispersion by smart methods and changed behavior. One way is to recycle material so that it is used again and again as a resource and keep it from becoming waste. A sustainable society is a cyclic society. This means harvesting resources from nature without threatening the growth of new resources. That all the waste can be captured in nature cycles. That the extraction from the Earth's crust is limited and that finite resources have long lifetime in society. The flows of matter have to be in balance. Life requires living condition that does not change fast and substantially compared to the natural variations. A long-term sustainable society must meet this requirement. Life requires living condition that does not change fast and substantially compared to the natural variations. A long-term sustainable society must meet these requirements. When the cycles are not in balance, sustainable development is threatened. Environmental problems are problems caused by society. Mankind owns the problem, so the good news is that we can do something about it. There are 4 root causes to environmental problems. They can be put as 4 principles for the sustainable society. The first principle. In a sustainable society, nature is not subject to systematically increasing concentrations of substances extracted from the Earth's crust. Metals and fossil materials are extracted from the crust. A well-known effect is climate change, which is a consequence of adding fossil carbon to the atmosphere. Burning fossil fuels is not sustainable. Nuclear power brings large risks related to waste management for present and future generations. A sustainable energy system requires renewable energy sources, origin from the sun, and efficient techniques. The sustainable society also implies a more gentle management of metals, used only when their special features are needed in efficient and closed cycles. There will be high demands on recycling and logistics systems for all the products we use in a global market. The second principle. In a sustainable society, nature is not subject to systematically increasing concentrations of substances produced by society. Today, man in society produces substances that can't be integrated in the cycle of life. Examples are persistent, unnatural chemicals such as PCB, DDT, triclosan and sucralose. As long as these chemicals are produced, they will sooner or later end up in nature where they can't be decomposed nor part of nature's loops. A well-known environmental effect is the depletion of the ozone layer due to CFCs and similar chemicals. Also, natural substances can cause trouble if they are produced in large quantities compared to the natural flows. Examples are nitrogen oxides, dioxin and methane, produced in processes such as combustions and food production. We need to find chemicals that works with nature. Maybe also look for other methods like fire-safe materials and alternative plant protection and cleaning methods. The third principle. In a sustainable society, nature is not subject to systematically increasing degradation by physical means. Today, we degrade nature by over-harvesting forests, fish, and fresh water. The consequences might be desertation, flooding, or extinguished species. Nature is necessary for our lives and economies by producing raw materials, taking care of waste, and through its biodiversity. Nature provides water cleaning, medicine, and recreation for free. A development towards a sustainable society will put high demands for sustainable methods for agriculture and forestry when the harvest should replace fossil fuels and also be the food supply for the growing population. Methods and tools to secure fresh water supply and management worldwide is required. The fourth principle. In a sustainable society, people are not subject to conditions that systematically undermine their capacity to meet their needs. This is the principle where the social and economical aspects of sustainability are really in focus. The long-term society needs political, economical, and cultural structures to support it. With limited physical resources and a growing population, we need to ask ourselves how we fulfill our basic human needs by more or less necessary use of resources. For sustainable use of resources, 2 strategies are needed. One is to be more effective, to use less material but gain more value. It is called dematerialization. Energy-efficient solutions are good examples, as is reuse and recycling of material. By this, the need for new virgin materials, as well as the production of waste, are reduced. The other is to switch from a bad flow to a good one. It's called transmaterialization. It can be about moving from a finite resource, such as natural gas, to renewable as biogas. From a hazardous chemical to an environmentally sound, or from a scarce metal such as copper to an abundant like aluminum. It can also be on a component or system level. This is done by changing the lead battery to a lithium one or the combustion motor to hybrid technology. The reduction of energy consumption in your home is one example of dematerialization. If you also switch from nuclear to wind-powered electricity, it's transmetralization. Both strategies are necessary for sustainable development. Understanding the principles of sustainability makes it possible to understand the gaps between today's and the future society. Sweden Cleantech Incubators work to find, develop and promote companies with new, innovative techniques supporting sustainable development. Our members provide solutions for the future. This is what we do. How can you contribute?